Here's the thing. He's talking about freedom, less states that are less free. Isn't he the guy who told everybody they had to stay home during COVID? And then he went to some lobbyist dinner with, 25 of his best friends? So they were hanging out, having a good time.
This was the number one lockdown state. That's atrocious.
Does he have a mirror? Oh, yes, he does, because we've seen his hair.
Ooh, Gavin, the knives are out.
I
He makes it easy.
take care of your own house before you start talking about other people.
Gotta go.
Bill Maher just faced one of the most humiliating moments on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher, and it happened live, right in front of his studio audience. During a heated exchange with a couple of conservative panelists he had invited onto the show, the conversation quickly spiraled out of control. The panelists pushed back hard on Maher's usual talking points, challenging him in a way that clearly caught him off guard. As the debate grew more intense, and Maher found himself struggling to maintain control or make a solid counterpoint, the audience's reactions began to shift noticeably. Some members even started to applaud the panelists' arguments, visibly turning the energy of the room against Maher. Realizing that he was losing not just the argument, but also the support of his own viewers in real time, Maher made the decision to abruptly cut to a commercial break, something he rarely does so suddenly. It was a clear attempt to regain composure and halt the segment before it could spiral any further. The moment has since gone viral, with many calling it one of the most embarrassing segments in the show's recent history. Let's now take a look at the clip from Real Time with Bill Maher, where this unexpected moment unfolded, and watch how Maher, facing overwhelming pressure, essentially retreats from the conversation using the commercial break as a shield.
As a primary state is that it's not diverse, so it doesn't really look
Not diverse.
Look like America.
We have the highest voter turnout in the country. South Carolina's diversity, look, South Carolina has about 15% voter turnout. What's the point of diversity if you don't let anybody vote, if nobody comes out to participate? We have rich, we have poor, we have black, we have white, it doesn't matter. Everyone in New Hampshire participates in the process.
Well, I mean...
I'll put my diversity against South Carolina's any day when you actually look at who's actually voting and participating.
The only black you have there is a bear. It's a very white state.
No, sure, of course.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Okay. But I'm just saying, but that's...
But isn't it about who participates? Isn't it about actually having a primary? Like I said, the Democrats likely aren't even going to hold the primary in South Carolina. So what's the point of diversity if you don't let people participate? I mean, they say that we subvert the vote by asking people for an ID. They subvert the vote by not even letting them show up.
The process was so blatantly anti-democratic that it bordered on the absurd. It was literally insane how it all unfolded. There wasn't even a semblance of a fair or open debate. They just unilaterally decided that Kamala Harris was the pick. No questions asked. No real input from the public. No transparent process. Just a top-down decision that left no room for discussion or dissent. It was essentially, this is who we're giving you, and this is who you're going to vote for whether you like it or not. At the same time, these same people were pushing an equally patronizing narrative around voter ID laws. They claimed that requiring an ID to vote would somehow disenfranchise black voters, arguing that these communities would struggle to obtain basic identification. But here's where it gets downright insulting. People like James Klug actually went out and talked to black Americans directly, asking them if they knew how to get an ID. Unsurprisingly, they did. They were well aware of the process and had no issue navigating it. The entire voter ID opposition then becomes exposed for what it really is, a performative, condescending, virtue-signaling farce that treats minority voters as incapable. It's a massive insult hidden behind the guise of inclusivity and fairness. And when you tie this back to the Kamala Harris situation, it becomes even clearer that none of this was about democracy. She wasn't chosen by the people. She was handpicked by a failing political establishment and an aging, mentally declining president who essentially admitted, in not so many words, that he couldn't carry the torch any longer. That's the truth of the matter. Plain and simple. The whole thing reeks of elitist manipulation and shallow optics.
Reality you're facing here. So that's why we're the best at the first in the nation primary. The high voter participation, the voter turnout, local control. And here's the most important part.
I can't help you, Bill.
I'm from
I'm not following this argument, but
I'm
go
from
ahead.
Massachusetts. I'm from Massachusetts, and we used to refer to New Hampshire as Kentucky and New England. So that's
Really? That's not nice.
Coming from Massachusetts, right? Coming from Massachusetts, give me a break. Why is New Hampshire the fastest growing state in the Northeast?
That's
Come on.
not fair. That's not.
Come on.
I didn't say I agreed with it. It's just, that was what we used.
Oh my gosh. California's Governor Gavin Newsom is out here on yet another over-the-top virtue signal tour. And it's honestly beyond ridiculous at this point. He's literally leaving his own state, the one he's supposed to be governing, to travel to other states that supposedly don't prioritize freedom, according to his narrative. Are you kidding me? The irony is just overwhelming. What freedom is he even talking about? Because when you really look at it, this whole stunt isn't about freedom. It's about pushing a narrow ideological agenda, plain and simple.
Andy Bashir.
Great segue. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced that he plans, oh yeah, I read this, to travel to states where freedom is most under attack. I don't know. Would this strategy help Democrats? I don't know.
A few years ago, the California legislature banned state money going to travel to states that had so-called anti-LGBTQ laws. So you couldn't have the sports teams. You couldn't have state officials going to other states that had controversial laws. And just a couple of days ago, one of the leading legislators who supported this said, it's not working.
Yeah.
And we have to repeal this because there's too much business going on across the country.
The whole song and dance is basically Newsom saying, I have to go to these other states because they're not letting people kill unborn babies, and I need to fix that. It's such a transparent and manipulative move, and it doesn't stop there. He's also targeting states that have stricter immigration policies, that don't support open borders or sanctuary cities, and that are trying to preserve some level of law and order. But Newsom can't have that. No, he needs to travel across the country on what amounts to a taxpayer-funded press tour, telling other states how they should run things, preaching about California's broken model as if it's the gold standard. It's like he's on a mission to destabilize other states under the guise of fighting for freedom and justice, when really, it's all about promoting chaos and exporting failed policies. It's not leadership. It's performance politics at its worst.
It would lead to a civil war. I mean, if you can't even...
And we're also making it very personal. You remember the Civil War, what it was called, the war between the states?
Yeah.
We're making it very personal between states. Like your state is...
You mean
New
the
Hampshire?
Is kind of,
I'm not sure where you're going.
Right, is kind of purple now, right? I mean, it's...
A little more red than purple, but yeah, we always get
I mean,
stuff done. Yeah.
Right, I mean...
Well, here's the
But-
thing. He's talking about freedom, less states that are less free. Isn't he the guy who told everybody they had to stay home during COVID, and then he went to some lobbyist dinner with 25 of his best friends? So they were hanging out, having a good time.
This was the
I
number
mean,
one lockdown state. That's atrocious.
Does he have a mirror? Oh, yes, he does, because we've seen his hair.
Ooh, Gavin, the knives are out.
I
He
mean,
makes it easy. He makes it easy.
take care of your
Yes.
own house before you
Yeah,
start
I
talking
mean-
about other people.
Okay.
You know what's really funny, and kind of sad, is that I can almost guarantee what's going to happen next. Bill Maher, after getting absolutely flustered and embarrassed on his own show, is probably going to pick up the phone and call Gavin Newsom right away. You just know he's going to be like, hey man, I'm really sorry about what happened. Tonight, that black woman we had on the panel really went off on you, and I didn't see it coming. Because let's be honest, Bill Maher practically worships the ground Gavin Newsom walks on. He defends him constantly and treats him like some kind of progressive savior, even when Newsom's policies are falling apart or causing real damage in California. So of course, Maher is going to try to smooth things over behind the scenes. And if we're being real, I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation includes some off-color, possibly even racially charged remarks about the woman who dared to speak the truth and challenge the narrative. Maher's history with racial commentary is complicated at best, and if I had to guess, allegedly of course, he probably had a few choice words that were less than respectful. It's the typical back room. Behavior you expect from media elites who act one way in front of the cameras and another way entirely when the lights go off. All of it just reinforces how phony and performative this whole ecosystem really is.
Shouldn't have gone out that
That's
night.
right.
He shouldn't have locked down his state.
Yeah.
Among the political peccadillos, I put it about thousandth down on the list. It
speak
wasn't his finest moment, but really, come on, if that's all you got on him.
No, how about the
Oh, no, we've
schools?
got
How
plenty.
about the millions
Okay.
of kids
Okay.
that didn't get back to schools? How about the businesses that were closed to shut
If you
down?
really
I'm
want
on
to
your-
go
I'm
there,
on your
he
side
sends
with
his
this.
wife, with the
I am
kids
not
to
a- I mean,
Florida.
brutal.
So,
So that's not, I mean,
really.
the list on Gavin is quite long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have time?
Put it this way, Republicans would love to run against Gavin. We would love it.
It's a Sununu Sears ticket is being
I
formed
think-
here
No,
right now.
no,
I
no.
think Gavin
Remember,
would be-
I can't run. Time. Before anybody says anything about immigration again, remember, I wasn't born here.
So you can't run?
No, I can't.
Then it's Sununu Mar.
And that's why you're so delightfully honest. Well, I thank you all for being here. Gotta go.
That's pretty much how it went down, right? The moment things started to get uncomfortable, the second someone had the audacity to challenge or criticize Gavin Newsom, Bill Maher hit the panic button. It was like, nobody talks down to my boy Gavin, nobody questions my best friend Gavin Newsom, and how heroically he handled the COVID crisis. Yeah, okay. The guy who enforced some of the strictest lockdowns in the country, only to get caught. Breaking his own rules at fancy dinners is somehow beyond critique? Give me a break. Maher couldn't handle it. The conversation got too real. And yeah, let's not forget that weird moment when Xi Jinping visited San Francisco and, surprise, the streets magically became spotless overnight. The city hadn't. Looked that clean in years, but nobody's allowed to bring that up without getting shut down. Maher's reflex reaction? Cut the mics, cue the music, and dive headfirst into a commercial break. Gotta protect the image, right? Gotta steer the narrative back to something safer, like pivoting to Donald Trump and MAGA world, because that's the go-to distraction whenever the heat turns up on the Democratic Party. Can't let the audience dwell too long on inconvenient truths. Honestly, is that not the perfect representation of Bill Maher running away from an uncomfortable reality on his own show? Because that's exactly how it felt. But what do you guys think? Was this a classic case of media deflection and partisan favoritism? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.